Joining us now is Idris Ibrahim, President and co-founder of Naira. Good morning. Thank you for joining us today on the program. All right, let's just double check. Could you unmute for a bit, just in case, so we can hear you? Apologies, Mr. Ibrahim. So please go ahead. We can hear you now.
Yes, okay, great. I said I've been following the Senate discussions on the fintech industry and how there's a lot of clamor for. Some have even gone as far as saying they should set up a fintech regulatory body.
Yeah.
I think some of these things will lead to over-regulation, because once you set up another fintech body, they will now start looking for ways to fund themselves, and then they'll come up with new levies. It's almost like duplicity. CBN already has the mandate to regulate us. They're the ones that issue our licenses, and fintech is very broad. Any financial business that uses technology is a fintech, so it's almost going to slow down innovation, in my opinion, if you start setting up duplicate agencies. Maybe CBN can do better. I also think that it's important that everybody knows that there's no country in the world where there isn't financial fraud, even in America, even in the UK, anywhere. I think there's just a very loud noise on it in Nigeria. It happens. And most of the times, the financial fraud hits the financial player and takes out of business even more than the regulator. So it's in the private person's business interest to fortify their processes and their systems, cybersecurity and so on. So I don't think, I agree we need to look into things and how to make the system stronger, but I think we just need to support CBN in its existing mandate.
It's interesting you say that sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Ibrahim. I thought you were done with that line of thought. But, it's very interesting that you say that the CBN needs to be supported. Because some people will say, the CBN is already used to supporting traditional or regulating traditional bank institutions, which they understand, they already know how they work. And it was also very interesting you say, well, fintech is any financial institution that is using technology. But we know, and we've seen over the years, that some innovation has been applied, and a lot of new companies have come up, doing things faster, doing things in a more innovative, doing things in a more accessible way for many Nigerians, which cannot be equated with traditional banking. So some people believe, and I think that this is the point of view of the House of Reps, they believe that there should be a separate regulatory body that will understand the speed at which these things need to be done, and perhaps also see ahead alongside these regulatory bodies, which will not necessarily be tied to the CBN, which is more used to a traditional way of doing things. I don't know what your thoughts will be in this regard. Do you think that there should be a separate body which might be more understanding of what needs to be done with regards to fintechs and the speed at which they need to move?
So, in my opinion, I don't think there should be a separate body, because at the end of the day, the whole world is going towards fintech. The whole world is going towards AI. So are we going to close down CBN if everybody goes fintech? CBN, I think a lot of people don't have enough interaction with CBN. CBN actually understands the way fintechs work. They might not keep up with it, and that's because it's a big system. They just need to retool, because a lot of them already understand how we work in Nigeria, because I interact with CBN very regularly, and I can tell you that a lot of them understand fintechs. Duplicating the agencies will not make a difference, because they're still going to employ from the same pool of labor anyway. So like I said, I think it's better CBN just simply speeds up its regulatory, upgrades regulatory processes and speeds it up, rather than duplicating another agency that will now have to find new sources of funding, double tax the existing players, reduce innovation speed. I don't think it would help the industry. For a duplicate industry, we'll now have two masters. We'll report to CBN for one, report to another one for another, and there are already like 3 or 4 other agencies that fintechs already report to, because even though they are fintechs, they have data-related agencies, banking-related agencies, so many agencies already operating. So, yeah.
I clearly see the concern there, and I was very, it's very interesting to note that you spoke about the CBN issuing the licenses for organizations like yourself to operate. This is very important because we also see that, you know, the Securities and Exchange Commission has also had to speak up in recent times with regards to investment opportunities for Nigerians as a result of what's been happening within that space as well, Ponzi schemes and all. Would you say that more and more Nigerians are more aware and can now differentiate between legitimate financial technology systems like yours as opposed to you know, illegitimate Ponzi systems that we will eventually see them losing their funds?
So most of the times, these Ponzi schemes, if you look at them, they're not even licensed. Some Nigerians are just greedy. You see a scheme that tells you you're going to earn 20% a month or something. I think the first thing Nigerians should look forward to is licensure. Go to the website of the company promising you these fantastic returns. Are they licensed? Most of the time they are not, because especially when it comes to SEC and CBN, most licensed entities are under tough watch by this bodies. Most of those, I think what we can do is really partner Apple and Android and ensure that unlicensed entities don't get on the Play Store and start getting downloaded and spread around. But most entities that perform these things are unlicensed. And that's where really the problem is. We need to find a way to stop unlicensed people from operating. There are almost more unlicensed players than licensed, even in payments. So there's a lot of informal business. So Nigerians have to educate themselves to ensure that they partner and invest in only licensed entities. And also request additional documents. So when was your last CBN audit? Can I see it? You know, just make sensible decisions and questions of these entities that are promising you good things. Because even for SEC, you must even get approval for your product before you release your product. So you cannot talk about a product that is giving you 20% a month.
Well, for Naira to have raised 10 billion Naira, I mean, it's clearly thriving. That sector of the economy, it is thriving. But there's a lot of conversation these days about cross-border payment, particularly across Africa. So where is Nigeria in the scheme of things? How are we positioned? What should we be doing, or what are you doing differently?
So Nigeria is actually well positioned. We're actually the giant of Africa in terms of remittances and payments. We are the largest. I think by last count, Nigeria receives about $20 billion a year, at least by World Bank and USA numbers. I think Nigeria can actually take over the payment space if we prioritize local players, right? Right now, a lot of our payments and remittances are still dominated by foreign players. But if we give that support to local players, we can actually, just the way China did with Alipay, WeChat, Pay, Kenya did it with M-Pesa and Safaricom. I think Nigeria is actually at the place where it can actually lead Africa in payments because of our sheer size and volume of business. And it's also a strategic thing to do, because right now you can see what's happening in the world in terms of foreign countries giving other countries like Trump-style tariffs where they are banning one thing or the other. It's now for Nigeria to own its own payment infrastructure and lead. That way, you are also protecting yourselves. You know, plus in myriad of other opportunities, there is more employment, there is more taxes coming in, just more economic development when you support your own business, as opposed to a foreign player coming in, making all the money and going back to America. It does nothing for Nigeria.
So, I mean, when you speak about supporting local players, what specifically do you want? And in addition to that, are we at the moment, or what do we need to do to ensure we can compete, if not at least hold our own, globally speaking now, not just in Africa?
So, to be honest, I think there's always going to be a partnership, right? Global companies will always scale capital, but local companies will bring context and insights. You know, Africa is not a single market. It's about 54 different countries. The local fintech companies will always understand the nuances of local banking systems, current dynamics, regulatory realities, and customer behavior. Whereas the global players from the origination side, like the US and UK, want to terminate in our countries at very fast pace, but they don't want to come in locally. So there's always going to be a synergy between both of us. On the local side, I just think we can never. Western Union has been around for decades, billions of dollars. The only way to compete is to have some sort of preferential treatment for local players. Ghana has adopted it. Kenya has adopted it. Several countries are adopting it, and nothing has happened to their system. In fact, the only thing they've gained is they've put their companies on a world stage. Safaricom today, $1 billion company. China removed all the foreign companies. Nothing happened to their payment system. So there's lots of companies. There's Flutterwaves, there's Fincra, Piazza, Juicyway. There are so many qualified companies, not just Naira, that can contribute to this. Payments is not anything mythical anymore. The technology is widespread. And yeah, definitely, I think it's something that we can do.
What about infrastructure-wise? Do they prefer, are we a country of choice? What do we need to do if we're not?
So the honest truth is that we're already, so those are two different things. Like, we're already a country of choice by virtue of our volume. Like I said, we have $20 billion that comes to Nigeria. We have a lot of Nigerian immigrants all over the world sending money to our loved ones there. So by default, we're always going to be a country of choice. People are going to flock to serve this country because there's a lot of money to be made. And in terms of infrastructure, these infrastructures right now are widespread. They are almost like commoditized, whether it's AML software, whether it's cybersecurity programs, everything. So the infrastructure exists. It's a global world. Anybody can get it. Just because we want to support Nigeria doesn't mean a Nigerian company cannot buy an AML software from USA. We can still adopt world standards in the Nigerian businesses.
What do we need to do to probably get to next? I know cybersecurity is a huge concern, but I also heard you say that it's just that some of those who are doing negative things are louder. What do we need to do to ensure, they're loud. What do we need to do to ensure maybe the right folks are louder, either in terms of policy formation, handshake across policy, and then the industry players? What do we need to do to strengthen all of that and ensure that even from at least academic level too, we have a group of young people who are just moving from there and getting into this industry?
I think stuff like this, media rounds. I think also you partner with your regulator. You work with them to promote new policies that are friendly, that meet both goals. Regulator always wants more. You are a private business with stakeholders, so there's always going to be a win-win scenario if one promotes the business, promotes their volumes, works with the regulators, raises money, scales. So yeah, several things can happen together to definitely promote the good guys, because the good guys are already working. There's a lot of volume already being brought in by the good guys, but when you go to the banks, you see local promotion of Western Unions and co. Yeah. It would give the wrong impression that the good guys and the Nigerian guys are also not there. There are actually a lot of Nigerian guys bringing millions of dollars into the country every day. So yeah, I think it's going to be over time. It just takes a lot of partnership with the regulator, partnership with the local banks, and so on.
All right, interesting, but at least a foundation such that we could pick up on this much later. We do appreciate the time this morning. Ibrahim Idris, President and co-founder of Naira.
Thank you so much. Thank you.